Today's top stories. As the Philippines and China sign various agreements, Chinese President Xi Jinping praises the turnaround of the relations of both countries. The DICT is set to team up with China Telecom to establish broadband internet infrastructure. Former Marine Captain Nicanor Faeldon takes oath as the new head of the Bureau of Corrections. And truckers joining the truck holiday in the Port of Manila may face sanctions from the Transportation Department.
Good day, I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Presidents Rodrigo Duterte and Xi Jinping hailed the improvement of relations between the Philippines and China amid various challenges. This as two countries signed agreements elevating strategic cooperation. Rom Dulfo has the story.
Ties between the Philippines and China had turned around since Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte assumed office in 2016. Chinese President Xi Jinping made this remark in his toast during the state banquet in his honor in Malacanang. Xi compared President Duterte to national hero Jose Rizal for making the ultimate sacrifice for his country and pushing for an independent Philippines. Before meeting President Duterte, President Xi laid a floral wreath at the Rizal Monument. The Chinese president also welcomed the agreements signed between the two countries, which elevated the relationship to one of the comprehensive strategic cooperation.
为地区和平稳定和人民福祉做出应有贡献。
China and the Philippines have a lot of common interests in the South China Sea. We will continue to manage contentious issues and promote maritime cooperation through friendly consultation. And we will work alongside other ASEAN countries towards the conclusion of the COC consultations based on consensus within 3 years, and contribute our share to peace, stability, and the welfare in this region.
For his part, President Duterte welcomed how the two countries were able to hurdle challenges by resuming bilateral dialogue and deepening relations through positive engagement. He says President Xi's visit to Manila is a testament to the country's strong desire to write a new chapter in the history of Philippines-China relations. President Duterte also said he was optimistic that Philippines and China will sustain the momentum in moving the relationship even further.
I am pleased with the current positive momentum of the Philippines-China relations. There is a deepening trust and confidence. Our governments and have greatly increased dialogue and interaction on many levels. This afternoon, President Xi and I discussed how we can further enhance functional cooperation in key work areas such as bilateral trade and two-way investments promotion. We tackled infrastructure development, particularly China's participation in the projects under our Build program, which aims to bring about a golden age of infrastructure in our country. We also discussed our cooperation on the reconstruction and rehabilitation of Marawi, and the Philippines' participation in China's Belt and Road Initiative. We discussed mutual concerns on defense, security, maritime cooperation, law enforcement, transnational crime, as well as strengthening our partnership in combating the trafficking of illegal drugs.
For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
Rebel groups are asked to show sincerity if they are interested in talking peace. Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzano says the government is always open to peace talks with Communist Party of the Philippines and its armed wings. The defense chief says the rebels must not use the peace talks to strengthen their forces and commit atrocities. He noted that CPP founder Jose Maria Sison has repeatedly said in the past they will utilize every strategy to advance their armed struggle, including peace talks. He says this stance is why no final peace agreement has been made with the rebels after all those years. Lorenzana earlier shot back at accusations that the government is acting in bad faith during the peace talks early last year. Former Marine Captain Nicanor Faeldon took his oath today as Director General of the Bureau of Corrections. Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara administered the oath of office to Faeldon. DOJ spokesperson Undersecretary Mark Perete says Faeldon plans to visit the new Bilibid prison anytime this week. On top of Faeldon's concerns were the drug trade inside the penitentiary, the inmate population congestion, and the transfer of the National Penitentiary to another locality. Prior to his appointment as BuCor chief, Faeldon was named Office of the Civil Defense Deputy Administrator. He was Customs Commissioner until he quit amid the controversy on the 6.4 billion peso shabu shipment that slipped past the Bureau. Supreme Court Associate Justice Francis Hardelesa remains the wealthiest member of the High Court, while Associate Justice Marvic Leonen is the opposite end. Based on the report of the 2017 Statement of Assets, Liabilities, and Net Worth of the Supreme Court magistrates, Hardelesa has a net worth of about 261 million pesos. Leonen had the lowest net worth of only 2.9 million pesos. Also among the wealthiest magistrates are Associate Justice Mariano del Castillo, followed by Associate Justice Alfredo Benjamin Caguiwa, Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio, and Associate Justice Estela Pernas Bernabe. Retired Supreme Court Justice and now Ombudsman Samuel Martirez had a net worth of 41.8 million pesos. Ousted Chief Justice Maria Lourdes P. Sereno declared a net worth of 27 million pesos in 2017. Lawmakers passed a bill strengthening safety and health standards in workplaces, and Malacanang assures it will review any joint oil exploration deal with China. More on these and other news around the metro from Benj Bondo.
Lawmakers have passed bills seeking to strengthen compliance with occupational safety and health standards. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III says the government commits to make a working environment free from injuries and illnesses under Republic Act 11058. Bello urged those pushing for safety and health in workplaces to work with the government to be able to achieve the goal in keeping work areas safe and healthy for employees. Meanwhile, Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana said he is not pleased with the decision of National Democratic Front Chief Negotiator Fidel Agcawili to cancel his visit to the Philippines. The NDF-Peace negotiator said he will no longer pursue his visit as his appointment with President Rodrigo Duterte was canceled. Lorenzana says the president will talk only to Communist Party of the Philippines founder Jose Maria Sison and only if there is a compelling reason to do so. In other news, Malacanang assures any joint exploration between the Philippines and China will undergo judicial scrutiny before it is signed by the two countries. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo says it does not matter which country will prepare the draft of the joint exploration deal for as long as it will be reviewed thoroughly. Panelo said the palace respects the Senate's proposed inquiry into the deal, but clarified that agreement documents will have to be signed first before it will be released to the public. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondo.
Still to come, the DICT is set to team up with China Telecom to establish broadband internet infrastructure. Puerto Princesa thanks President Duterte for intervening in the city's power supply problem. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Ulat sa ginagawa ng Presidente. November 8, Huwebes, Malacanang. Kinausap ni Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte ang Mindanao Indigenous Peoples Council of Elders at ibinigay nila sa Pangulo ang 4 na resolusyong mga ngalaga sa mga lumad sa Mindanao. Boracay Island. Ipinamahagi ng Pangulo sa mga indigenous peoples ng Aklan ang nasa 300 ektaryang lupa para sa agricultural development ng lalawigan.
Today we acknowledge our farmers' important role in nation building as you work tirelessly to ensure food security across the country. I assure you that this administration will continue to protect and uphold your right to own, control, secure, cultivate, enhance, and reap the benefits of the agricultural lands you till.
November 10, Sabado, Palawan. Nakisaya ang Pangulo sa kauna-unahang Subaraw Biodiversity Festival sa Puerto Princesa, Davao City. Itinaas ng Pangulong Duterte ang rangko ng 16 na Presidential Security Group officers at pinasalamatan sila sa tapat nilang paglilingkod. November 13, Martes, Singapore. Dumalo si Pangulong Duterte sa opening ceremony ng 33rd Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summit. Sinundan ito ng isang working dinner sa pangunguna ni Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong at muling nagtipon ang mga leader para sa ASEAN Summit Plenary. Matsaga namang naghintay ang ilang overseas Filipino workers upang personal na makita ang Pangulo na masaya namang nakipag-picture taking sa kanila. November 14, Miyerkules. Sa ikalawang araw ng 33rd ASEAN Summit ay nakilahok si Pangulong Duterte sa 21st ASEAN-Japan Summit, 3rd ASEAN-Russia Summit at 21st ASEAN-China Summit para mas matibay ang ugnayan ng ASEAN countries sa Japan, Russia at China. Saksi rin siya sa pagpirma sa Memorandum of Understanding sa pagitan ng Eurasian Economic Commission at ASEAN on Economic Cooperation. Naganap din ang isang bilateral meeting sa pagitan ng Pilipinas at Singapore sa pangunguna ni Pangulong Duterte at Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong. Ako po si Secretary Martin Andanar at ito ang Duterte on Duty. Abangan sa susunod na linggo ang mga gagawin ng Pangulo.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology and China Telecom are set to establish broadband infrastructure to speed up internet in the country. Here's our report.
The DICT has partnered with China Telecom for the establishment of a submarine broadband infrastructure that will ensure faster internet connectivity in the country. DICT Acting Secretary Eliseo Rio Jr. and China Telecom Chairman Yang Ji signed a letter of intent Tuesday, which coincided with the visit of Chinese President Xi Jinping to the country. The project will use the DICT's existing cable landing station together with China Telecom's submarine cable. Rio clarifies, negotiations were conducted before the selection process for the country's third telco player was undertaken. Under the initiative, China Telecom's international submarine telecommunications cable will directly connect the Philippines with Hong Kong and the US. The facility uses optical fiber technology to carry signal and digital data, including telephone and internet traffic by way of a submarine cable stretching across the oceans. Ms. Tatel spokesman, attorney Adele Tamano, says this is in the consortium's first step in providing the foundation for faster and cheaper internet services to Filipinos. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
The new age of cooperation between the Philippines and China is seen to go a long way towards poverty reduction and improving the Filipinos' overall quality of life. Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez III notes Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit to the Philippines aims to deepen and strengthen the Sino-Philippines relations. The Duterte administration has increased the government's infrastructure spending because of its importance in sustaining the domestic economy's expansion. Dominguez says the projects that China are financing for the Philippines will certainly contribute to reducing poverty. Among these projects are the construction of a dam in northern Luzon, the Kaliwa Dam, which will boost water supply in Metro Manila, and railway systems and airports. The Health Department in Cordillera reported that cases of dengue in the region doubled while leptospirosis cases increased by 23% in the first 10 months of the year. The DOH Cordillera recorded nearly 7,000 dengue cases from January 1 to November 3 this year, a 100% rise from last year. There were also 11 deaths due to dengue this year. Kalinga Province recorded the most cases of dengue, followed by Apayao, Benguet, Abra, Ifugao, Baguio City, and Mountain Province. Meanwhile, leptospirosis cases went up from 77 in the first 10 months of 2017 to 95 in the same period this year. The deaths tripled from 2 deaths in 2017 to 6 deaths this year. 6 members of the Abu Sayyaf group surrendered to the military in Sulu. Meanwhile, death toll for dengue in Bohol reaches 40 this year. More on these stories from the provinces from Benj Bondok.
6 members of the Abu Sayyaf group surrendered to authorities amid the continuing military offensives in Sulu. The group surrendered to the 2nd Special Forces Battalion. Military operations continue in Sulu in a bid to rescue the remaining hostages from the hands of the ASG bandits, including 2 foreigners and 4 Filipinos. In Bohol, 40 patients died of dengue this year. This comes as over 2,000 cases were reported in Bohol from January to November 17. Authorities are pushing to strictly follow the dengue treatment protocol and provide dengue fast lanes in public hospitals in the province. The local health board also recommended to intensify the search and destroy campaign in addition to the dengue school brigades and information and education campaigns. Meanwhile, the Sangguniang Panlungsod of Puerto Princesa supports President Rodrigo Duterte's intercession to resolve the power crisis in Palawan. President Duterte warned that he will expropriate the Palawan Electric Cooperative if it fails to resolve the power crisis in the province before the end of the year. Duterte gave Paleco until the end of the year to address the frequent blackouts. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondok.
Up next, truckers joining the truck holiday in the Port of Manila may face sanctions from the Transportation Department. And over 8,000 sea passengers are reported stranded due to Tropical Depression Samuel. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders. The Department of Transportation warns that sanctions will be imposed against trucker groups that are participating in a truck holiday. The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board and the Land Transportation Office have threatened sanctions against those who disrupt the free flow of goods and services going to and from the Port of Manila. DOTR Secretary Arthur Tugades says efforts to disrupt the operations of trucking groups that are not involved in the truck holiday is a form of economic sabotage. Several truckers are protesting the phase-out of trucks that are more than 15 years old. The so-called Truckers' Day Off Rest runs from November 19 to 24. Around 40 personnel from the Interagency Council for Traffic are currently deployed at the port area to ensure that the operations there remain smooth. More than 8,000 passengers were stranded in ports across the country early today due to the inclement weather brought by Tropical Depression Samuel. In an advisory, the Philippine Coast Guard says thousands of passengers in sea vessels were stranded in Metro Manila, Southern Tagalog, Palawan, Bicol, parts of Visayas, and Northern Mindanao. Vessels are prohibited from sailing when storm signal number 1 or higher is raised. All vessels already underway shall seek shelter. Moderate to heavy rains, which may trigger flooding and landslides, are expected over Western Visayas, Bicol region, Mimaropa, and Southern Quezon. In our foreign news, police are investigating the stabbing of a fellow officer in central Brussels in a suspected Islamic militant attack. The attack happened at the commissariat in the Iseles region in the morning of November 20. A local newspaper reports a policeman was attacked by a man shouting "Allahu Akbar." A second police officer used a weapon against the assailant, wounding him in the chest. The attacker has also been hospitalized. Belgian Interior Minister Jean Jambon expressed his sympathy and condemned what he called a cowardly act against the police. The prosecutor's office is looking into the incident as a possible terrorist attack. The stabbing occurred amid a two-day visit to Belgium by French President Emmanuel Macron. More people are into vaping as a way to stop smoking and as a fashion trend. But is vaping a healthy alternative, or is it just another addictive habit? More in this report from Maricor Zapata.
With the increasing public awareness on the harmful effects of tobacco comes the rising popularity of electronic cigarettes, or vaping, especially among those who want to break the habit. Younger patrons see vaping as a cool way to connect with their peers and complete their fashion statement. But a big question is it really cool for one's health? Vaping is the inhaling and exhaling of a vaporized e-juice or e-liquid, which contains various chemicals and flavorings. While it does not contain tobacco, it still has nicotine. Vaping as a habit is a one-time big-time expense because it requires proper devices that can cost as much as 5,000 pesos per unit, that's still apart from its accessories. In 2014, an 8-month study in Belgium reported that e-cigarette smoking or vaping successfully reduced cravings for tobacco cigarettes. The World Health Organization says while there could be studies showing the positive effects of e-cigarettes or vapes, they are not at all proven solutions to the tobacco epidemic in any country. Meanwhile, the Health Department warns that e-juices or e-liquids are potentially harmful products which need to be regulated. The vaping units themselves may cause injuries if mishandled, such as misusing its batteries. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Let's take another look at today's top stories.
As the Philippines and China sign various agreements, Chinese President Xi Jinping praises the turnaround of the relations of both countries. The DICT is set to team up with China Telecom to establish broadband internet infrastructure. Former Marine Captain Nicanor Faeldon takes oath as the new head of the Bureau of Corrections. And truckers joining the truck holiday in the Port of Manila may face sanctions from the Transportation Department.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And it's 34 days more to go before Christmas. That's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Pia Rosas Murado. Good day.